So I want to welcome another good friend, Michael Batenburg, who, again, he is with Chaplain Corps, but long before he was with Chaplain Corps, he started a ministry called Back to Basics Outdoor Ministries. Really interesting, and we're going to get to talk to him and see some perspective. Michael, come on up and give him a round of applause as Michael Batenburg comes to talk with us today. I see you brought a friend, Michael. Is he on?
Testing. There we go. Sit.
Go ahead, Michael. Test your mic. I think you're good.
Hello, can you hear me?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Relax, Cece.
Well, Michael, again, welcome. Glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Michael, through the Chaplain Corps, like Cain, has been involved in the prison ministry. Cain for years and years, and Michael in a newer way. And so he has been reaching out to the inmates at the jail in Pinellas County, which is considerably larger than our jail in Pasco County. I think the population is probably close to double.
Sure.
You have 3,000 or more inmates there. And he brought me over, and Mark. Kane, did you get to make that trip? I can't remember, but I know Mark and I, and maybe Chaplain Dennis, got to go over together with you and meet with you, and talk to one of the leaders over there, the chaplains over there, and that was a pleasure. And we look forward to seeing what God's going to do over there again once things open up again. But Michael, tell us a little bit about Back to Basics. First of all, let me take one quick step. You were born where?
I was born in Ohio, but was born to a very ambitious father who was focused on business. And really, it's funny when I was sitting listening to Cain, and I always love to listen to Cain. He has such great insight and experiences. But I said, following Cain is going to be really difficult. Why did I have to go second? And now I know, because people ask me about the ministry and why I wanted to start the ministry. And I always say that, well, I lived a life that I was promoted to live from my father's ideology, which was, and excuse my choice of language, his actually wasn't exactly this way. He said, "Son, life is a poop sandwich and you must take a bite every day. And the more bread you have, the less poop you have to eat." And I believe that. And so, and I tell people why I chose to start the ministry was because that I wanted to live a life of significance and not what society considered to be success. So after 45 years, I decided to leave the secular world of business and personal gain and so forth, and give my life to Christ. But really why I did it was what Cain was alluding to, which is something that I didn't have, which was spiritual leadership in my family household, based on Christianity, and someone that was able to walk alongside me and be able to encourage me and to lift me up and to hold me accountable with the real true values of life and what's most important, and not being monetary and financial success. So that's really why I started the ministry, and why I designed the ministry to focus on what I feel is lacking out there. It's so funny, speaking to Pastor Mike, you've now connected with the organization that I cut my teeth on and did the proof of concepts for Back to Basics, which your kids are going to be going up to a great kids camp, Camp Anderson up in Old Town. Mr. Bloodworth took me alongside of him and gave me an opportunity to see what running a Christian kids camp sees 500 kids a week for 10 weeks of summer, which is a pretty daunting experience, looks like. And it gave me the opportunity to see the things that I felt worked and see the things that I thought were lacking. And one of the things that I really thought was lacking was, boy, when these kids go home, who's there to keep them accountable? Who's there to lift them up? Who's there to encourage them? Are they going back to a spiritual leader in their family? And if they're not, gosh, how do I help to make that change? And so that's where Back to Basics came into play. Not that we don't allow kids, we welcome kids, but we don't welcome kids alone. They have to be with a spiritual leader or a representation of that, so that when they go home, that there is somebody there to come alongside of them and to take what they've learned and to continue it, so that it's not just memories and pictures, but it's a plan to walk toward an ultimate goal of discipleship.
So it looks, I'm sure, Michael, that there's any number of ways that you can connect and back to basics. And maybe before I go on with my questions, because I think this is the video that's the introduction to the ministry in some sense. Is that correct, or is this the one that...
Yeah, and really we don't even need to see that. I mean, I've kind of given you the overview of what we do. Again, right now we've been blessed with relationships and access to land and to activities in 11 states in Costa Rica. We primarily focus on adults, men's groups, women's groups, couples groups, and families. And the whole idea is to design a custom experience that doesn't have 500 guests a week, but more intimate. We love small groups. 12 obviously comes to mind for biblical reasons and for a number of other great reasons, to have an opportunity to have something that's intimate and special and personalized. We have done larger groups up to 65. We do a couple of fishing trips with men, women, and co-eds that has a larger group. But the majority of adventures that we do are small. We love 6, 12, 15, under 20, because we really want to give an opportunity for each individual to not only take home something that is unique and special that was for them, but also give them that special attention. So that, we just finished a great man's camp that was just amazing. It had pastors, it had folks from the Navigators in attendance, it had pilots and business owners and so forth. And the greatest thing that was a result of that is one of the guests said, I felt like this was designed for me specifically, and I hope everybody else got something out of it, because it felt like it was for me. And I wept. Because that's the type of impact that we want to put on people, is to allow them when they leave to take something that really touched them and gives them the opportunity to implement that, to hopefully pass that along to the individuals that they're influencing, so that when situations arise like these terrible ones that have recently arisen, that there's a foundation in there that says, this is wrong. This is not the way that we need to be, and we need, as Cain had mentioned, and it's my favorite verse. I have it tattooed on my wrist to just remind me, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's as easy as it is, and if we just focus on that, then we can fulfill that great commission. So,
Michael, I want to just ask you now a couple of specific questions about your ministry. And so now, when a group, as you mentioned, at various sizes, has an interest in doing some sort of outdoor adventure, it's either from, because I've seen your website and looked at it very carefully, of course I've interacted with you on it, but it's either from a list of ideas that have been done before, right?
Right.
Where somebody can just get their mind prompted and say, here's something, here's something, here's something, and they are tremendously fun looking, But you also do customized things as well, so that somebody who already is an outdoors person and has some thought on the subject could come and you would work with them on it and help them to pull that off. And then also, Michael, isn't it true? Now, so on the spiritual component of it, do you work directly? In other words, is that all on the onus of the group that wants to go, that they think that all through and they work on that and they do it in some cases? Or in other cases, do you guys bring people and let them relax a little bit and you actually provide the spiritual support and help? Which way?
Answer to the question is yes.
Yes.
So it is customized based on the group. If an individual has programming that they want to make sure gets executed during the adventure, then they're more than welcome to bring their resources and bring individuals to go ahead and do that. If they need programming, we obviously provide programming, and we're happy to fill that role for them. But at the end of the day, what we really want to do is we want to eliminate all of the overhead and all of the taxing of logistics and accommodations and food and activities and all of that time-consuming things that take away from the opportunity from you to actually be engaged with your fellow guests that are there. We don't want to take away from that opportunity for you to build fellowship and to be able to have those intimate experiences and be able to truly focus that time that you're away on building yourself and your heart and those relationships. So we just take that overhead and we eliminate it. We're, as I affectionately say, we're God's travel agent.
God's travel agent. That's good.
But as far as the trips are concerned, I mean, activities, in my opinion, are the hook, right? Especially for people that aren't mature in their walk. We love, I call it clueless, curious, committed, convicted, or a disciple. And those individuals at the lower end of it, being clueless and curious, a lot of times these activities will hook them, whitewater rafting, hunting, fishing, camping, whatever. It inspires them, and they can connect with that, and it gives them an opportunity to say, hey, I'll go and check that out. But really what it's about is the experience that takes place, not necessarily the activities. So the activities are there as an inspiration and something to do and something to force you to come alongside of your neighbor, to be able to do things together as a group, because as the body of Christ, we need each other. We were all given individual gifts and individual talents, and individually they're great, but they don't complete it. It's not a whole until we're working together, and that's why all of our programs are designed, so that we need to have each other to be able to fit that ultimate goal. So, to answer your question, we really prefer to do customized stuff.
Gotcha.
We really prefer to sit down with an individual that says, hey, I've got this family, or I've got this group, and this is what we want to do, and this is what we want to accomplish, and these are the activities that we'd like to experience. Can you do something special for me? But we also have great sign-up add-on adventures. Like, we're going to have an epic 4th of July paddle out of St. Pete, where we're actually going to paddle underneath the fireworks and be able to experience that wonderful show and the camaraderie of all the...
And Michael, something like that people can plug right into. That's not a closed group. That's an open opportunity.
Come and sign up. And we probably do a paddle at least once a month. We do a lot of unique paddles, moonlight paddles and things. And, when I know that we're doing the right thing, when what we're doing is not something that you can actually go and do without his intervention.
Right.
When we were given access to preserves that are closed, and be able to have campfires that you can't have fires, and we're getting approvals to do these things, and I know that the reason that I'm being given those approvals is because he's blessing it, and he says, you're on the right track. You need these resources, and I'm going to give them to you. And that's, when people ask, how can I help? How can I be involved? I say, listen, writing a check is easy. And don't get me wrong, we love people that support us financially, but having access to resources, having access to land, participating as a volunteer, spreading the word and letting people know that we have these great adventures available, attending our fundraiser banquets. I mean, there's just all kinds of ways outside of just financially supporting our organization, again, which we greatly appreciate. But as it says in the book, time, talents, and treasures. And sometimes the time and the talent is 1,000 times more valuable than the treasure. Yeah. So we'd love for you to come alongside us as a guest, as a volunteer, as an advocate, as somebody that just wants to participate however you feel led, and come alongside of us and enjoy all that God has given us. I mean, I've grown closer to Christ by being out in the wilderness, and as my mentor always says, when I asked him, I have a hard time wondering when God is going to speak to me, and he said, are you listening? And I said, well, sometimes I'm not, because as you can see, I like to talk. But being out into the wilderness and being intentional and having that opportunity to listen and to be still and hear his voice is a great way to leverage the gifts that he's given us and to truly hear his voice and grow.
It's a part of the spiritual instruction to us in the Bible that as we follow in the Lord is that he got away to quiet places.
Amen.
And so, it's important for us to remember that. You're in Minneapolis like Kane just showed us and how he grew up. That may take a little bit more doing to be able to get a little still and quiet from time to time, but you can always make your war room in your home and close the door just like the movie, right?
Amen.
And a place that you can get away and pray like Jesus said. But the point is, there is something special about that, and the idea of the quiet surroundings is something that we see it shown in the Bible, we see it in the Old Testament, we see it in the New Testament. It does make a difference. And not everybody is quote-unquote an outdoor person. In fact, not many probably by comparison may be, but not everybody has to go on this radical whitewater rafting trip in which it's just like, hell on for dear life. Because I'm thinking, by the way, that's probably a really good way to do evangelism. Take somebody along, put them on the radical, no, I'm just joking. It probably work. No, but all kidding aside, Michael, it's really cool what you do. It's such a unique thing, and I'd love to help you get the word out. I've been talking about that. I know you'll be speaking soon over at the Wesley Chapel Zephyr Hills Ministerial Association. We're excited about that. And but others of you guys that are here that enjoy the outdoors and can think about things, whether it's family related or a group that you're engaged in, something here at Calvary Chapel or some other group, you might want to connect with them about the ideas that are possible for having a really neat outing, a really neat retreat. And I know, I for sure, in our men's ministry at Calvary Chapel, we're going to figure out something to connect with you on that, because I think the potential's so cool, and we'd love to do it. But Michael, it's great having you. And Michael, one last thing, we were focusing more on the George Floyd thing, of course, with Kane Kellerman, and I said I wanted to mention, of course, the coronavirus thing and its relationship to private nonprofits, to parachurch ministries like your own. And so we're just about out of time, but I would like to ask you this. Things were going probably pretty well prior to that, and then all of a sudden this thing came, and you're probably in a rebuilding thing, as some other things are right now. Is there any, just briefly, that you could say, do you see on the horizon that it's just really a matter now to keep this thing moving, to start getting some trips organized, that would be a huge thing for the time? That would be a game changer? Or?
Absolutely, and we had a very hard time when everything came to a halt. Our fundraisers came to a halt. Our adventures slowed down drastically, except for families, that could do things together and not fear the exposure to others. And I know that, just as it says in the book, God takes everything and it uses them for good. And what outcome has come from this is that people now, because of this fact they spent so much time cooped up and not engaging with others, are ready to go out and ready to engage and ready to take opportunities to come alongside of each other. And I love the fact that, God leveled the playing field globally for the first time in my life, where it didn't matter what you did, where you came from, how much money you made. We were all affected in one way or another very similarly because of this. And what it did is it gave us the opportunity to say, what's most important? It's not that football game. It's not that concert. It's not all of these things that we've created idols over. It's relationships. It's relationships with Him, and it's relationships with each other. And the only way to do that is to spend time together. And we have the platform to provide that time. So, I'm looking at this as a wonderful, wonderful blessing. And just need to get the word out now that if you're looking to do something like that, we've got a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to do so. And if we have the chance to show a video, we have videos of just about every one of our trips that we do.
Well, why don't we end with that, Michael? Let's just watch that short video so people can see a quick idea of what's going on.
Yeah, if you'd like to see videos of actual trips that we've done, we have a slew of them available. And if you'd like to get any additional information, you can always go to the website.
Is it
call me personally.
backtobasics.com or .org?
Back, B-A-C-K, the number 2, basics, O-M, outdoorministry.com.
Back to basics with the number 2,
OM.com. Yes.
.com. Okay, we got it.
Bless
Well, Michael, it was a joy to have you with us today,
Thank
brother.
you.
And I think what you have is a very neat, unique ministry.
you.
And we're going to be praying with you. That's going to just blow up here now as people are getting back and being active again. And so much good, I can tell, can be done by this approach to things. And it's neat that the Lord laid in your heart to do it. So go
Thank
for
you.
it, man. We're excited.
Thank you. That's the number one way that you can support us. Just pray for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be greatly appreciated.
Well, we'll do it. God bless you, Brother Michael.
Thank you.
Bless you.